It's been described by the government as an absolute nightmare for some Cantabrians, and now it's hoping that will come to an end courtesy of a $300 million Fix-It fund. The government today unveiled the fund that will be handed out by EQC to help those who've ended up with onsold quake-damaged houses. Up to 1,000 quake-damaged houses are believed to have been onsold with unscoped damage or faulty repairs exceeding $100,000, and they aren't covered by private insurance. The government also revealed it's already spent $450 million patching up houses with defective repairs that EQC signed off on. Sid Miller is the CEO of EQC and he's on the line now. Mr. Miller, does this mean that EQC accepts that it has a duty of care to these homeowners?
No, what this means is that we've now got a solution in place with where we can pay ex gratia payments for the overcap portion for these people who find themselves in this situation. And I think this is a really sort of positive step forward in terms of how we can address the situation these people are in and repair their homes.
So to be clear, you don't accept that you have a duty of care to these people?
No, what we have is that we have the duty to actually find a settlement solution for them, and this gives us that.
Do you have a duty of care to these people? Simple yes or no answer.
We have a duty to settle their claims. And that's
not the question, here. Mr. Miller. Do you have a duty of care to these homeowners?
We have a duty to settle their claims, and this is what we're doing. We felt it's important to find a way for these particular people that are caught in this position to find a settlement solution, and that's what we're pursuing here. And hopefully we can give these people a settlement that will allow them to move forward and get their houses repaired.
Can you explain to me simply why you wouldn't have a duty of care to these people, given that EQC's scoping of the repairs was deficient and the repairs were also signed off by EQC? So how can you not have a duty of care to these homeowners?
Our duty is to find a settlement for these people, to find a route forward, and that's what we are focused on doing. That's what this gives us in terms of what we had today, which we haven't had previously because we've tried to work within the Act. We've now got the ability to provide these ex gratia payments for those people that are caught in this onsold overcap position. And that's what we want to pursue with them and actually work with people to find that settlement.
OK, so you were due to have a test case before the courts. Today it was announced that that case is not going ahead. I want you to be very specific here. When was it decided not to take the test case?
So we've been working through this for some time in terms of the test case and what the test case would look like and what would come out of the test case.
So when did you decide to pull the pin on the test case, Mr. Miller?
I'd like to just go through this. And so as more information has come out, we realised that was not going to produce a solution for all the people that are caught in this because they're quite case specific. So that's when we about 2 or 3 weeks ago, we went produced the advice in terms of going that we think what is required at this point is actually a settlement that can address everybody who's caught in this situation.
So 2 or 3 weeks ago, you decided not to take the test case. You came to that conclusion.
No. I mean, it was probably about a month ago. And the point in terms there, it was the complexities of the
I'm sorry to interrupt, Mr. Miller.
It might move forward.
Mr. Miller, I just want to be clear. You're sorry, I'm a little bit confused by your answer there. So did you decide that the test case wouldn't go ahead? Was that decision made about a month ago?
So what we decided about a month ago was that the test case wouldn't give us the answers that we needed.
When did you decide to drop it, Mr. Miller?
So that we still have a case with the Giblings. And we need to what we now want to do with the announcement today is try and seek a settlement solution with the Giblings.
Understand that. But the Minister today said the test case will not go ahead. That's what the Minister said categorically today. The test case will not go ahead. When was that decision made not to progress the test case through the courts?
So can I just be clear? So the point was that in terms of the test case, what we were looking to get out of that was the solution that would enable us to deal with all these people that are caught in this position. From the information that we've had and what we've gained throughout that, we realised that wasn't going to give us that answer, or
I
it
do
could
understand
take a considerable amount of time.
Yeah, I do understand that, Mr. Miller, but my question is different.
To the policy that we put in place today to help those people.
So the decision not to progress to court with the test case, this is important for a number of reasons, and we'll get to that if you could just answer the question. When did you decide that the test case would not progress to court?
I just want to be clear, so that we still have a case that would go to court related to Mr. Gibbling. And that was the case we were using as the test case to try and seek clarity on all the different complexities that are involved here. So in going through that, and as we've gained more information and knowledge, we believe that would not provide the answers we need to find a settlement solution for these people.
Why are you so reluctant to give me a very straightforward answer here as to when this decision was made?
I am answering. I'm just trying to explain to you, we still have a case related to Mr. Gibbling. It's just we are not using that because we do not believe it would give us the information we need to enable people to actually get a settlement solution who are in this onsold overcap position.
The test case was to determine who was liable and responsible for these shonky repairs. It seems to be convenient for you to drop that and leave the question of liability unanswered. Is that the case?
No, the case is about trying to find a solution for all these people that are caught in it, rather than end up in a legal process that could go on for quite some considerable time. We want to find a solution for these people. And that's the policy that the government has announced today, which will enable us to seek a resolution for these people and repair their homes.
It has already gone for some considerable period of time, so how much have you spent and how much resource has gone into this test case?
Oh, there's some considerable resources gone into it.
Money, how much?
I don't have the figures in terms of how much we've spent overall. I think the important point is that what we now have is a solution to find a settlement for all these people that are caught in this position.
Well, there are a number of important points here, Mr. Miller, including the amount that you are spending on litigation costs at the EQC. So how much are you spending on a month-by-month basis?
Well, figures have dropped, but I think the most important thing in terms of the litigation is actually the number of claims we've moved out of litigation and moved into settlement, and we've resolved. You're spending
about $700,000 a month on litigation. Is that good use of taxpayer money?
No, I think we've dropped down beneath that figure. I think in 1 month
you did, yes.
400 claims that were in litigation. We're now down to 267 over about a 3-month period. So what we're doing in there is, by not going through the litigation, is actually getting settlements for people.
You're living hand to mouth. EQC is living hand to mouth at the moment when it comes to the National Disaster Fund. You've had top-ups of about $165 million, excluding GST, since November. I think the last one was about $40 million worth in August. So how does that work? Do you just flick an email through and say we need a bit more cash? And how sustainable is that?
Well, we have an agreement with Treasury, which is the process we go through in terms of our funding through the Section 16. I think, the key bit here is actually how do we settle for people? So these people that are caught working with us, they're trying to seek solutions. So that's where we're focused, looking at all the ways that we can enable people to get their homes repaired and move on.
Mr. Miller, you are having to keep going back, cap in hand, to ask for more money to keep things rolling over, while at the same time you are hemorrhaging huge amounts of money every month for litigation. How sustainable is this as a funding model and an operating model?
We have made considerable changes in our legal model, our legal way of working, which is to remove those claims out of litigation and into settlements. And actually, what I just talked about in terms of the success rate that we've had over 2 months, I think speaks for itself in allowing people to move on, get a settlement, get their home repaired without being caught in a complex and time-consuming legal process.
You have also gone from a single legal provider to a panel of legal providers, haven't you? Is that costing you more money?
Yep. No, what that's given us is, I think, and it's quite common across the public sector, is a panel where you've got multiple providers with different skill sets that you can call on. It also creates a competition between them. So I think that's quite a positive move from our point of view.
So when did you notify the lawyers for the onsolds who were involved in this test case? When did you tell them that the test case wasn't going to go the full distance?
We communicated with those lawyers this afternoon after the announcement around what the options that we would have to look to try and resolve the situation with Mr. Giblin.
So they found out after you went public?
Yes, they did.
Thank you for joining us this evening. That is Sid Miller, who is the CEO of EQC.